elephants to two forests. If you you can come to Nepal and you can ride on the elephants in the national park. And you know, when it's that big, the elephants are the only creatures besides human beings that will go to the place where their dead relative was buried and mourn. Now, you ever see the size of an elephant's head? You understand, they can put a pretty big brain in there, you know. So all that stuff about elephants remembering everything. What you get if you cross an elephant with a jar of peanut butter? You either get a jar of peanut butter that never forgets, or an elephant that sticks to the roof of your mouth. I'm very fascinated. You know, when I was in my 20s, once I had some elephant meat that somebody gave me a property, but I have learned a little bit more about elephants, that they are such amazing creatures. You know, the elephant could be the king of the jungle, but elephants are so laid back, basically, okay, that they let the tiger be the king of the jungle, except when the elephant says enough already. You know, he's got a high threshold for anger, but if he gets mad, and everybody gets out of the way, including the tiger, okay, because, hey, you don't want something that big stepping on you. And so it's the mahout, the guy who drives it, he sits, you know, on the elephant's neck, and he's got some burlap that he sits on because the elephants have the hair is sticking up, you know, going to stick right up into your bottom. So he has a sack there that he sits on. He puts his toes behind the elephant's ears and pokes his toes behind the elephant's ears, and that's kind of giddy up, let's go. And but when things that big, you kind of lead by agreement, okay? He gets hungry, and he just stops and strips off. I saw him, you know, just stripping off branches off of a tree and stuffing them in his mouth. And you're up on the top of the elephant, and you think, I thought, you know, he puts his foot on it and strips the greenery off. But when we walked away and I looked back, I didn't see anything there. I thought, did he put the woody growth in himself as well? How does he process all of that? Of course, he's so big, he could put an industrial, you know, small industrial sawmill inside him, you know. But it's amazing, you know, these things are fascinating. Anyway, these have little hand-carved elephants inside. They are white, they're about the same color, you know, dull white as these chairs. Do not open this. There is a cap on it. Do not pick that cap off in a place like this, or it'll fall, and you may have a hard time picking out the little tiny hand-carved elephant. Now, don't expect when it's that small to be, you know, a fancy carving. It isn't. It's barely an elephant outline, but it is made out of bone, and it is that small. Okay, there's a bunch of these here, and to avoid taking up church service time, I'll just put them out on the counter back here so you can get them afterwards. There's also my card, which has 3 websites on it. One of these websites is no more because we have folded it into another website. Okay? There's the StanleyScism.com website, which is for people to see a bunch of different things, and also we're putting the Wonderful Words website, which was my books. We're putting that one in the StanleyScism.com website, so that the Wonderful Words website isn't going to exist anymore, except it'll be inside the Stanley Scism one. And then another one is Scism Christian University, which is the Bible College website. And Scism Christian University will have on it different things that people can donate to, not just the Bible College, but all stuff, that ministries that we're doing and that people can donate to if they would like to do that. Of course, since you are, that's for the whole world, okay, and all nations. Since you are here, you know, a place to get through your church, and and that way your church can give you the tax credit for your donation. There are so many things that have happened since it was last year, and there have been some. Can you hear me? No. Okay. My hearing aids are on, and so I can hear myself very well. So I'm listening down, and so Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't know how far back to go because I don't know again how long it's been, but when I started my missionary work, there was before I was appointed, the Foreign Missions Division had a vision of having regional Bible schools in the 4 regions that they had at that time. And so one of these had been in Delhi. Now, then later they expanded to 6 regions, but these 4, none of them actually turned into being regional Bible schools. One of the reasons for that is probably financial, people traveling from too far away, too expensive. Another reason is visas and legal matters of people trying to come and study in a Bible school in a Hindu country. If they told everybody we have this Bible school there, then you would have all kinds of governmental problems. So the main thing, it was basically Indians and people from neighboring countries, mainly Nepal, Bhutan, and Burma, who came there. And we had one from Bangladesh. And these people would come and study there. Now, one problem we have in Delhi is that, see, my father knew India well enough to know that he should get them to sign a legal agreement that this property was for the use of the international church. So he required them to sign that. And that was back around the time it was purchased. It took a little while to draw up the agreement, but then it was signed. And then, for 20 years, that legal agreement was observed. Okay. But then a pharaoh grew up who did not know Joseph. A later generation of leadership came up who had grown up in independent India. They'd never known the previous before independence. And the worst thing, the political side you can understand, but the biblical integrity side, they abandoned, they repudiated the agreement that had been signed. And this was a legal agreement, so the only way, finally, that you were going to defend it would be with legal action. It had come down to that point, okay, because they were already using legal counsel to try to find, holes in the agreement and find ways of not following it and try to seize the building. Right. This kind of thing has happened in other countries before, and now it was happening. It had happened in Indonesia twice before, and now it was happening in India. And so a decision had to be made: are we going to defend this property with legal action or not? And the Global Missions made a decision that they were not going to. They were going to let them have it. Now, I strongly disagreed with this, as they know, and I felt that they should defend it, and that it was a betrayal of the donors, and that it was simply basically dishonest for them to do it that way. So there was a very, very trying, extremely stressful time around the winter of 2012-2013, going through that time when basically the Bible school was being kicked out of the building by the Indian church. And so we, people who had been operating the Bible school, now before this Bible school began, if you look at the map of India, and you see, Bangladesh on that side, Pakistan on that side, and Tibet above, and you see the peninsula coming down. If you look at just the big mass bulk of the main part of North India, in that entire area between Bangladesh, in the entire area between Bangladesh and Pakistan, not including the south, okay, not including the peninsula, but above the peninsula, there were exactly 3 churches for a population triple the size of the USA. Okay? One church was in Delhi, and 2 churches were in Punjab near the Pakistan border, and that was it. Okay? Now, as time went by, when the Bible school was training people, and many of these people would go back home to their home places because they felt at home there and they knew the language. India has many, many, many languages. So, but some people had a burden to reach into new places. And as a result of that, they were starting churches in some new places, and thank God for that. And we finally ended up with a place where in the state of Rajasthan we had 8 churches. The state of Uttar Pradesh, that one state, Uttar Pradesh, has a population equal to the USA. One state has a population equal to, I'm sorry, wait. That one state, not equal to the USA, but that one state, if it was a country by itself, okay, it would be in the top 10 nations on earth in population. It had a population of about 170 million. Okay, not U.S. population, but that one state was equal to one of the top 10 in the world if it was separated and made its own. It dominated India, well, kind of like California dominates the states. You know, it got 20% of the population, or like 20% of the economy of the USA. Huge presence in the United States. Okay, and Uttar Pradesh has that. Now, we have a real revival in Uttar Pradesh. Four men started a crusade. They had heard about those Follow the Fire crusades you may have heard a few years ago. They wanted to have a crusade. They had no money. They had they established. They just put what should we say, a vacant lot. Okay, they put straw mats, you know, on the ground, and then they put basically some cloth, like a semi thrown together tent, you know, to shade from the sun. And they tried to do that. Then they said, what we're going to do is we're going to invite everybody to come and bring their sick the first night. It was Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday services. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, 3 services. So they, Friday night, they just made announcements by word of mouth. Everybody bring your sick, bring your sick. People brought their sick. And one boy who had tuberculosis and was so weak he was being carried by his parents to the church, and they had to walk for some miles to found out about this service. And the boy died en route. Well, they were already on the way, and they, you know, they're going to go back home. So they brought the boy, they laid him there and said, "Can you do anything? He already died on the way." So they prayed for him. How could you not pray for him? You know, so they prayed for him, and the boy began to breathe again. They kept praying for him. He gained consciousness. He asked for food. They brought food, and when the service ended, he was able to walk home.
Wow. Glory! Hallelujah!
And then 2 men, brothers, aged 39 and 36, who had been deaf from birth, had never heard a word in their lives, had never learned how to speak, right? But they were prayed for, and they were healed, and when they went home, could hear and speak, never having learned how.
Wow.
Okay. Now, these kind of miracles went out, and the news spread, and the next night, hundreds of people were in there, including a lot of priests from a neighboring Shiva temple. Shiva is one of the, how should we say this, one of the most primitive, earlier, vicious, darkly cruel gods that the Hinduism has. Okay, symbolized by trident and by people who wear a 3-pronged thing on their forehead, and seen the ash all over their bodies, matted dreadlocks, everything like that. They're not necessarily Shivites, but if that trident is there, then they are definitely Shivites. Okay. There are some things that that the Canaanites and the people who inhabited Israel, inhabited Canaan, before the Israelites came in, some of their practices that God said, this is horrible, and this is why you're supposed to wipe them out and take over the country, because their practices are so bad. But some of those practices are in Hinduism. Okay, not all of them, but some of them, yes. Okay, are in Hinduism still. Now, and because it's a church environment, I don't even like to say what some of these things are.
Right.
And Paul says some of these things you shouldn't even mention. Okay, so we won't. But it's, if you want to read about it, you can. But it's there in the environment. Now, some of these Shivite priests were coming to the meeting. Why? All over the world, when people are hungry for God, and if they think there is spiritual power somewhere, they're hungry for God, they're going to come there. In France, Catholics going, they hear about, let's say, this image of Mary that's weeping or something, or if I go to Lourdes and get prayed for, I get healed. And how many thousands of people go there? People hungry for God. You can go to Stonehenge in Britain on June 21st, you know, on the festival, and you go there on that day, and you'll see all the New Agers there with the Druids with their white capes and everything, with their crystals and everything. There are people around the world who are hungry for God, and they're looking for something, and if they think there's spiritual power, will show up. Okay? And thank God for that. There's people who are hungry for God. Okay? So thank God that hunger is there. And so anyway, these people came. They heard about what happened the previous night. They came. The power of God began to sweep over the meeting, and when it did, the Holy Spirit descended, and these priests who were there, 53 of them were thrown down to the ground, including the high priest who owned the temple. He was also there. Well, the pastors of the 4 of them prayed for these priests that the demons would come out of them. And after they prayed for them and the demons left, these priests stood up and they said to everybody, it is clear that everybody means the crowd that had gathered around. They said it is clear that Jesus is the one true God because we saw our gods leave us when you told them to leave in Jesus' name.
All right.
So therefore Jesus is the one. Okay? Now, so there was a powerful revival going on in that part of the country. In the Calcutta area, you've heard of, you know, Mother Teresa, the people sleeping in the streets of Calcutta and all this stuff, okay? And we had some students who graduated from Bible school. One time, Brother Teddy was coming through Calcutta because he was supposed to speak at a conference, and he said to me, Stanley, got to do something about this city. And I said, I have graduates from our Bible school who know the Bengali language, and they're willing to come here if somebody will support them and help them to come. So he didn't say anything. But when the conference was over and he went back to Louisiana, he was district superintendent there at that time, he told some of the young leading ministers in the district about it, and they gathered together and said, we're going to help this. And so the church from Calcutta now, there are a number of churches in Calcutta, and they have reached to the neighboring states of Bihar and Jharkhand, and it's just a growing concern that is, that I'm very, very happy for what is happening in that area. So now, then here's another thing. One of the guys who was, you know, those 4 ministers who prayed at that crusade, one of them was good friends with a pastor who was in Delhi, and it was also our Bible school principal in Delhi. These guys came to, one of them came in touch, the pastor in Delhi came in touch with the Bible school president, came in touch with a man from a state of Orissa, and that he talked to him about Jesus' name baptism. That man came to the Lord. Then he said, please come to my state. I'm the only apostolic person down here. So these 2 ministers came down there, and they got a great deal of opposition, first of all from the Hindus, and secondly from denominational churches. So they could not baptize people publicly, so they went to the house churches one by one, different places, and they baptized people secretly in all of these different locations. One of the places, some people were following them around. What are they doing? What are they doing? You know. So they went over near a canal where they were going to baptize some people. You know. What are you guys doing down here? Oh, we're going swimming. Okay. So they, got to go swimming because you got a problem with that? No, I really can't go swimming. No problem. So they got around there, they splashed around the water. You know, I baptized you. So by one means and another, you know, they were trying to find ways of getting people baptized in Jesus' name. These people who had already said they believed it and they wanted to do this, but they were having opposition. So churches have been growing, people have been coming to the Lord, and the number of churches in some of these places were blossoming, okay, and developing. However, many of these new churches where there was nothing before, Okay? But I'll start it almost entirely, my Bible school